Welcome to the Awakening Together channel here on YouTube. This is our Awakening Together weekly gathering. Each and every week we have a different minister who speaks. If you'd like to attend our services live, please visit our website awakening-together.org. Click on Online Sanctuary on the main menu. Then, How to Enter the Sanctuary. Our services are held Sundays at 10:15 a.m. Eastern Time. We'd love to see you in the sanctuary.
Good to see you. Happy New Year. Gathering, the first one of 2022 is called The Power of Faith. Nisargadatta Maharaj once said that either everything is a miracle or nothing is a miracle. And he said he preferred to think that nothing is a miracle. And I feel that he probably said that because he wants to see everything, all of manifestation, all awakenings, everything as a natural unfolding of our divine nature. And I think typically when we use the word miracle, we're really kind of implying it's not natural, right? It's different from natural. And so it's a miracle. But he did say that we either can see everything as a miracle or everything as not a miracle. He said he preferred to see everything as not a miracle, but that did leave us with another option. The other option was to see everything as a miracle. The problem is most of us don't choose one of those two points of view. We tend to divide and separate and say, well, usually this is good and was unexpected. I'm going to call it a miracle or blessing or grace, whatever word we use. This I don't like. This is bad. This should not be here. And what he was really pointing to was that it behooves us not to separate. It behooves us to see everything the same way, regardless of whether we see everything as a miracle or everything as natural. So our weekly gathering is going to be about that this morning. Let me share our statement of purpose for this weekly gathering. It's our fifth core value. We accept all forms as temporary appearances, permitted through enduring awareness of self, meaning, of course, true self. We live this value by honoring all appearances and all experiences while continually reflecting on changeless truth. So that's kind of an introduction to what we'll be looking at today. However, before we do that, I'm going to share our announcements. I'm going to do it a little differently today. So now that the announcements are done, we get to slow down a little bit. And we get to move into the devotional part of our program. And I've selected a song to bring us into that devotional feel. This is a song called The More I Seek You by Carrie Job. So Sina, if you play that for us. Thank you. Thank you, Sina. All right. Let's go into prayer, shall we? So for me, prayer is just a time of reversing the direction. So much of the day, our attention is focused outward. During the announcements, our attention was focused outward. But during prayer, we take a moment to shift that attention inward. Whatever we say during prayer, if we pray to someone or something, who we pray to, is not really important. What's important is that we use this time to shift the focus inward. Shift the focus devotionally to that which is beyond thinking, beyond appearance, beyond the temporary. And we just link in with that. We just plug into that. We don't need to ask for anything during a prayer. We often do, but we don't need to. There's a line in the Bible where Jesus says that your Father knows what you need before you ask. He's referring to if we take the time to link in, whether we do that through prayer or contemplation or meditation, it's not important. Through song, like we might just have done. If we take that time to link in, we just make the connection. We just shift inward. And whatever it is that we need will be given. We don't need to ask. We don't even need to know. So we take this moment to link in. And we say in advance, for whatever it is that we will receive, thank you. Because it is exactly what we need now. Amen. So I'm going to turn this over to what's really a fairly new friend of mine, John Wetzel. I just met John at the fall retreats. I had a lot of fun with him. I'm sure everybody who met him had a lot of fun with him. I asked him to be the reader today, so he will be our reader. He's going to read from NTI Hebrews, chapter 11. John, we are turning the mic over to you.
Faith is driven by desire and powered by belief. What you accept is true. One may say he has faith, but if he does not accept as true, his faith has no meaning at all. The idea of faith may be placed with one thought, while the power of faith is given to another. It is time for you to look honestly at where you place your faith. It is by faith that the universe was formed, and it is by faith that its seeming form is maintained today. This is the power of your faith. Because you see exactly as you see, you can see also where it is that you place your faith. It is through faith that your perception of the world changes. This is the first step in letting go of dreams. For as you place your faith in that which is not seen, that which is seen changes to show you where you have placed your faith, where you put your faith. In faith, your entire perception shall seem to change in answer to the faith you have given. In this way, the perception of death is also taken away. Whereas you no longer place your faith with sin and guilt, the wages of sin, as perception, is also taken away. By faith, you will let go of illusion, knowing that by the time of the oneness that you are. In this final step of faith, the world shall be released, and your acceptance of truth will be revealed. Now, by faith, you listen to my every word. I ask you to also practice it in faith. Practice without faith is dead, for it is your faith that brings all things to you within perception. Through faith, perception is rearranged to answer the call of your awakening. As you ask for guidance and give faith that it will be given, guidance is that which will come. It shall lead you step by step, not into form, but away from it. For as you see the power of your faith, you are led to accept that the truth has always been true. You shall see that you have been the leader of your own awakening through your Holy Spirit, which knows the true reflection that is everything. Your desire for the world will keep you in it because of what you were created to be. But as you recognize that the world is not your home, and you begin to long for, desire, and place faith in the home that you know must be, you release your hand on illusion and reach out for the truth of what you are. Faith in what is beyond perception. Let go of dreams that are perceived. Do not ask in your heart for rewards given in perception. Ask only that you may be led away from dreams. And perception shall answer in a way that is helpful, so that you may welcome and realize an increase in faith. By faith, you bless experience. By faith, experience blesses you. By faith, your willingness to let go is increased. By faith, you let go of the limits of the world. By faith, you let go of the world, even as you seem to live in the world, so that your desire for the world can die. In this way, you live in dreams, even as you let go of dreams, and you prepare your mind to fully awaken. It is your faith that leads you forward, because it is your faith that makes that which you see. By faith, the world's rules no longer apply, because through faith, you have released your belief, which has been given to them. By faith, you stand within the world and see that the world is not true. By faith, you bring all that is brought to you. And so by faith, you may learn that none of it is true. As you learn this lesson, you shall giggle in acceptance and release it in all in joy. For in the remembrance of truth, you shall no longer desire a distraction that hides the truth of what you are. The mind is one. The desire of the heart is only one. The Spirit of God is one, and this is your holy truth. Accept in willingness all that you do know, and by faith, that which has never been true shall fully and joyously be let go.
Thank you, John. John's right here in Colorado with me, not physically though. He's probably about 45 miles north of me, but he's right here in Colorado with the sun in his eyes. So you can tell the sun is shining in Colorado today.
Thoroughly blinded by the light.
Yeah. All right. So the power of faith, again, is the name of this week's homily. And one of the things that really stood out to me when I read this again recently was actually the very first portion. It says, faith is driven by desire and powered by belief. And belief is actually defined as what you accept as true. So faith is driven by desire and powered by belief, what you accept as true. And I spent some time contemplating this. It's funny because those of you who know me, you know that it was my hand that wrote NTI. And yet this particular wording didn't jump out at me until a few weeks ago when I was going through it as part of the 500 days with NTI. So I really spent some time contemplating this. Faith, what is faith? I've heard people ask that question before. What is faith? But this is telling us that faith, first of all, is that which has made the entire world. It says that the entire world, actually it says the entire universe, was formed through our faith, and that its seeming form is maintained today through our faith. And that reminded me of another line from the Bible when Jesus said, with the faith of a tiny mustard seed, you could move mountains. People interpret that line in all kinds of ways, but I was shown back in 2006 when I was contemplating that particular line I was shown that that was a literal statement. Jesus was not speaking to a person, although that's how people took it. Jesus was speaking to consciousness itself, which is what we are, and of course, how he perceived us. And Jesus is telling consciousness the power of its faith. If you, consciousness, had faith in yourself as consciousness, you could move mountains, because the entire world is formed by your faith. So faith is pretty damn powerful, and it's something that's always happening. This is what's really important. Most people, having learned the word maybe through a Christian tradition, for example, think that you either have faith in God or you don't have faith. And as I contemplated this, I realized faith is something we always have. We always have faith. The question is just, what is our faith in? And again, we aren't mere people. We're consciousness, which means what we have faith in manifests. So again, let's go back to what is faith, right? When you realize that faith has that much power, then maybe you have a curiosity, you have an interest, you want to know what is faith. So we're given two building blocks here that create what is called faith. The first building block is desire. And I think that's what really interested me the most. Although, again, this was written by my hand, I don't think I ever contemplated that building block before, like I did a few weeks ago. What we desire is where we're going to place our faith. It's like automatic. It's like we don't really have a choice in where we place our faith. If there is a choice, the choice is, where are we focusing our desire? So this is what we need to question. Where is my desire? I'm going to do something a little bit unusual. When I was looking for songs for this weekly gathering, I came across a song that I thought, oh, that's perfect. But nobody will understand how perfect it is if I don't include it along with the homily. Like if I just play it, people are going to think, oh, Regina's off a rocker. So I'm going to play the song. Hopefully my internet connection is good enough. Usually Sina prefers to play the songs herself, but I'll play the song, even if it's not perfect, it's lyrics. So I think you'll get the gist of it. It's by Ariana Grande. Hopefully I said her name right. And it's about faith. Let me share this with you, and then I'll talk about why I played it. Okay, what I loved about that song is that she's walking that line that a lot of people get confused with. I mean, she talked about meditation. She talked about keeping her conscience clear. She talked about forgiveness. She talked about writing love letters to heaven. But everything she was desiring, she even talked about a thin ego. You have to have a thin ego, right? Letting go of ego. But she said you have to have a thin ego to have a fat wallet. In other words, her faith was still placed with happiness as being something in the world. That's the mistake that everybody makes. That's why I thought that was such a perfect song. So spiritual. We're meditating. We're keeping our conscience clear. We're writing to God. We're forgiving people because I want this from the world, right? And that's the mistake that people make. And so what this NTI Hebrews chapter 11 is talking about is that the desire that gives you the faith that it's talking about is the desire to wake up from the world to truth. And if you don't have that desire in place, then you do still have faith. Don't get me wrong, you always have faith. Your faith is in the world. And you may even be able to manifest stuff stuff from the world, temporary stuff that isn't going to last. And so you get what I'm sure Ariana Grande experiences, even though I don't know her personally. I'm sure if I live with her, that this would prove to be true. Highs and lows, right? And you have to keep going after the highs because they're temporary, they don't last. What this faith is talking about is the faith that gets you in touch with your eternal self, where there's just that constant peace that passeth understanding, where it doesn't really matter what's happening in the world. And, everybody knows we're living in interesting times right now. We have COVID. It's constantly shifting and changing. It's so exciting. You never know what it will be next or who it's going to kill or how. Whether it's going to get in the brain or the lungs or the nervous system. It's so sneaky and smart. And then we have this global warming thing going on with these incredible storms. Oh my God, what happened in Kentucky? Unbelievable. And then I don't know if you guys heard about the fire in Colorado this week. Unbelievable. Over 1,000 homes burned in hours. Even for Colorado, even for forest fire, of course, this wasn't even a forest fire. This was a fire in a suburb, which is why it did that. But it just spread so fast because of the high winds, which are caused by global warming, the dryness, which is caused by global warming. Because you never know what's going to happen to the stock market. Right? We never know what's going to happen to the stock market. It went up last year. I made more money last year than I've made in the entire time that I've been invested. But it could go down next year, right? You never know what's going to happen with the stock market. We're all aging. Most of us probably will not live to be as old as Betty White got to live. And even she didn't get to make it to 100. 18 days before she was 100. Queen Elizabeth lost her husband. We could lose Queen Elizabeth next. She's been the queen my entire lifetime. The point is, there's nothing in the world that you can count on. That's the point. There's nothing in the world that you can count on. There's only one thing that you can count on, and that's your true self. So where is your faith? That's what this is asking us. Where is your faith? First, where is your desire? What do you want? Do you want COVID to go away in 2022? Do you want scientists to have some breakthrough that ends global warming? Do you want somehow to make yourself feel and look younger? Do you want a thin ego so you can have a fat wallet? What do you think will make you happy? What do you want? What do you want? Jesus said something about, and I wish I could remember this. I can't. Maybe someone else can, and you can type it in. Oh, somebody said something about floods in Brazil. I didn't even know about the floods in Brazil. Something about your treasure. Is your treasure, like in the world where moths and rust and thieves can take it? Or is your treasure in heaven? Right? This is what we're talking about here. Where is your desire? Because where your desire is, your faith is too. You can't separate them. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. This is the clarity. You can't separate them. And, this goes on to talk about how you can say you have faith with one thing when you actually have faith with another. We can lie to ourselves. But guess what? Your faith, the power of your faith, the manifestation that's occurring through your faith is happening subconsciously. It doesn't matter what you're consciously saying that you want. You have to pay attention to yourself, is really what this is talking about. It says, it is time for you to look honestly at where you place your faith. This isn't actually referring to thinking. This isn't saying that today while Regina's talking, I realize maybe I've been making some mistakes, like sweet dear Ariana Grande. And I need to change my faith, so I'm going to do it differently. This can't actually happen at that level. You have to watch where you do have your faith. And then when you see it, you just realize to yourself, okay, that's the mistake that Regina was talking about. The way I was taught to say it is will for. It's kind of like a prayer. I will for changing my faith. You just catch it. And then there's a quick acknowledgement that you want something else. Because this is being corrected at your subconscious level, not your conscious level. This is awareness. You guys have heard that word before here, I know. You bring awareness to where you're actually putting your faith. And I think you also know that you don't have awareness when you're in judgment. You can't be in, as the Course says it, you can't be in two thought systems at the same time. And judgment, guilt, beating yourself up for what a loser you are, that's clearly the ego thought system, right? So awareness is just seeing, just recognizing. It's more like insight. I see right here. I'm having faith in my world. I think if I get this, I'll be happy. I think if this changes, I'll be safe, right? I think everything will be okay if I can rearrange these deck chairs on the Titanic. But you just see it without judgment. And then you say, however you want to say it, I will for a change in desire. It's like I give my willingness for a change in desire. You give permission to the unseen, that you could call God or consciousness or whatever you want to call it. You give permission to the unseen to change your subconscious desire. You give permission. And you just keep doing that until your desire has been changed and you start noticing that you're desiring differently. So faith is driven by desire. And then the second part of that, which we also want to look at, this part I had noticed before. It's funny how I didn't notice the desire part before. I had noticed this part before, but maybe you haven't. So let's look at that. Faith is driven by desire and powered by belief. And belief is defined as what you accept as true. So what do you honestly accept as true? For example, where does your safety lie? Money? Like if the stock market crashes and we go into another depression, like at the beginning of Betty White's life, right? Are you still safe? Are you safe no matter what occurs? If your home burns down in a forest fire or is taken away by a tornado? One of the stories I heard in Kentucky was a man called his brother. Actually, both their homes had been destroyed, but the man that called his brother didn't know his brother's home had been destroyed. He only knew his home had been destroyed. But when he called his brother, it wasn't so much about the fact that his home had been destroyed. He was calling his brother because he couldn't find his baby in the destroyed home. He says, I can't find the baby. Horrible things can happen in this world. By the way, they did find the baby and it was dead. Horrible things can happen in this world. What do you accept as true? Is the truth in death? Or is the truth in life. This was one of the most challenging things I found to refocus my attention on. I worked on this hours and hours and hours through inquiry, through looking at my beliefs. I had such a strong belief in death. I had such a strong belief in suffering. I thought that suffering and death were more true than truth, than life. I thought that it was okay to play spiritual as much as you want, but that at some point it would get knocked down as not true by suffering or death. Because when suffering and death came, they were the real truth. These beliefs have to be looked at, and you have to see that this is what you accept as true, if you do. And realize that your faith is driven by your desire. It's also driven by what you accept as true. And what do you do when you think suffering and death are the actual reality? You do the same thing you do when you find you're desiring things in the world. You just notice it. We're back to awareness. You just notice it. Oh my gosh, I notice that I think suffering is more real than truth. I notice that I think death is the actual reality, that life does not continue. You just notice it. And then you give your willingness. You give your permission to have that way of seeing changed in you. You see, the human can't make these changes. The changes are made by consciousness. But most people don't, I mean, maybe at some level you realize it, but not at the deepest level. What most people don't realize is that consciousness chose the illusion, not the person. The person is just an experience of that choice. Consciousness chose the illusion. So consciousness has to let go of that choice, not the person. But at the level of experience, which is what the person is, you notice, you bring awareness to where your desire is, where your belief is, and then you give permission for consciousness to change its mind in your experience. In other words, you're giving willingness to be the effect of consciousness changing its mind, rather than the effect of consciousness continuing to hold on to its desire for the world and its belief in death. I have no idea what 2022 is going to bring us, but if it's anything like 2020 or 2021, we are in for a roller coaster ride. I know I saw so many posts on Facebook. Oh, good, 2022 is here. Maybe that 2021 is over. Yeah, I don't think so. If it's true, then that fire that we had here in Colorado on December 31st was the last one. But I don't think so. I don't think so. And we are consciousness. We, through our faith in the world, through our belief in suffering and death, are creating these images, participating in these images, believing these images, suffering with these images, hoping that image doesn't happen to me. We need to shift our desire, our belief, our faith. And what this says is, if you do, the world will change. Now, interestingly, in my experience, it doesn't mean that your house won't burn down, or that your wallet will always stay thick, or that you will always be surrounded by friends and family, or that you will always have health, or that your house won't be destroyed in a tornado or a hurricane or a flood, or that your loved ones' homes won't be destroyed. That's not what it means when it says the world will change. In my experience, what it means is when you look out on that, you will see life. You will see consciousness. You will have understanding, and you will have compassion for those who don't have understanding. You will know the peace that passeth understanding. And that's why it's called the peace that passeth understanding, because nobody else can understand how your house could be destroyed in a tornado, or your baby is lost and found to be dead. And although there is certainly some sweet sadness at having lost that sweet little angel, at the same time, there's peace. At the same time, there's acceptance. Because at the same time, there's knowledge of what is true. There's seeing, experiencing of what is true. As we approach this new year, what I ask you to do, and of course, it's up to you whether you do it or not. What I ask you to do is to pay attention to what you are honestly desiring. Where do you think your happiness lies? Where do you think your safety lies? To quote the old saying, are you trying to rearrange the deck chairs on the Titanic? And if you see that you are, don't judge yourself for it. Maybe go play that Ariana Grande song. Let me get the name of it for you real quick, especially since it's probably cut out of it's called Just Like Magic. Go play Just Like Magic, and then give your willingness to shift your desire to truth realization. Just give your willingness to shift from believing that the world is your savior to knowing thyself. And then pay attention to what you believe. And if you notice that you believe that you accept as true, believe in suffering and death, then give your willingness to have your acceptance of what is true shifted to life that has no end. Life that's beyond person, beyond personality, beyond world, that has no end. And just do that. And then see if your perception doesn't begin to change. That's what this is saying. You'll know if you've made the actual shift in desire and belief because the way you see, the way you experience will change. So that's it for today's homily. Again, if you would like to donate to Awakening Together, it's a whole new year, a whole new opportunity to donate. So Sign is going to give you that link. Sign is also going to play the song that I have selected. It's called A Million Little Miracles. And the reason that I selected this song was, again, thinking of Nisargadatta Maharaj. Everything is a miracle. It's all powered through our faith. That which we call good, that which we call bad, it's all happening through the same mechanism. And by choosing to look at that, you are shifting your faith to the unseen. Thank you, Saina. So I started by saying that Nisargadatta said either everything is a miracle or nothing is a miracle. And he said he preferred to see it as nothing is a miracle, right? And I said that's because he wants to see it all as natural. I prefer to see it all as a miracle. All. And one of the things I loved about that song was he talked about when he was listing the miracles, he did talk about things like healing my mother. But then just a couple lines later, he said, even in my brother's death. You see? healing my mother, and even in my brother's death. It's all a miracle because it's all the unfolding of consciousness. That's what we want to see. And we are that consciousness. That's what we want to see. So we only have 3 minutes. Is there anyone who would like to say something before we close? If not, then I have one more song. This is a special gift, by the way, for a few of you. A few people in the last month have told me how lonely they are. And one of the things I would like you to look at is, again, where are you putting your faith? Where are you putting your desire? Where are you putting your belief? How is your current life a miracle, a gift from God? How is the Father giving you what you need? And you just haven't yet recognized it. So this is a song. And again, some of you may be saying, oh, she's talking about me. I'm talking about a handful of people in the last month who have told me they're lonely. So this is a song for you. Yeah, the answer lies in awakening. All right, you all. I will see you this evening, right? You're going to come tonight for clarity, whatever I called it, clarity of the teachings, whatever I called it. Yeah. Okay, see you there. Bye.
You've been watching our online gathering. It happens weekly on Sundays at 10:15 a.m. Eastern Time. To join us live in the sanctuary, visit our website, awakening-together.org. You'll want to click on Online Sanctuary in the main menu, and then in the drop-down menu, look for How to Enter the Sanctuary. Right there at the top of the page is a clickable link. We'd love to see you in the sanctuary and join with you in fellowship. Thank you again for watching. Also, please know that if you'd like to stay connected via the Awakening Together channel here on YouTube, you can subscribe and hit the bell for more notifications. We hope to see you in the sanctuary.